Did you know that right now, this very second, your own brain is playing tricks on you? That's right. What you see in front of you isn't exactly reality. It's a meticulously edited picture. Welcome. Today, we're going to discuss the most perfect, yet simultaneously most paradoxical instrument nature has ever gifted us. We'll break down 20 facts about the human eye that will make you question your own vision. Are you ready to find out why you actually see the world upside down? Or why you have a massive blind spot you don't even know about? Settle in, because after watching this video, you will never look at the world the same way again. Before we dive into the facts, let's understand the scope of what we're dealing with. The human eye is the second most complex organ in your body, right after the brain. Just picture a mechanism comprised of over 2 million moving parts. It's not just a lens, it's an entire, autonomous, light-processing laboratory. Throughout millions of years of evolution, this organ has been refined to allow us to spot predators, distinguish ripe fruit, and read other people's emotions. But this complicated fine-tuning comes at a price. Our visual system is riddled with strange bugs and surprising features that we never notice in daily life. And right now, we're going to uncover them all. Let's start with some mind-blowing figures. If the human eye were a digital camera, what kind of resolution would it have? Scientists and photographers often debate this point. But if we translate our biological capabilities into technical terms, the human eye's resolution comes out to roughly 576 megapixels. Just imagine that. 576. The most expensive modern cameras, often costing thousands of dollars, barely reach 50 or maybe 100 megapixels. But here is the catch. Our eye doesn't actually process all those pixels simultaneously. High definition only exists in the tiny focal point right in the center, where your attention is directed right now. Everything else is essentially a blurry background, a visual gap that your brain fills in using memory and prediction. Here is a fact that seems like pure science fiction. You actually see the world upside down. Physically, the lens in your eye projects the image onto the retina completely inverted. Up becomes down, and left becomes right. This is just basic optics. It's how any lens functions. But why aren't you walking on the ceiling? Because your brain is a genius piece of software. It receives that flipped image and instantly, without delay, flips it back so you can correctly orient yourself in space. Experiments have been done where people wore special goggles that literally flipped the world upside down. And guess what? Within a couple of weeks, their brains adapted and they started seeing the world normally again, even while wearing the glasses. The next fact involves something you actually can't see. Right now, every single one of you has a gap in your vision. It's known as the blind spot. This is the exact point on the retina where the optic nerve connects to the brain and exits the eye. Crucially, there are absolutely no light-sensitive cells there. Zero. None whatsoever. Logically, this means you should always see 2 persistent black patches floating in your sight. But you don't. Why is that? It's the magic of your brain at work again. It analyzes the surrounding picture and simply fills in the void with the most appropriate color or texture. Your brain is literally photoshopping reality in real time, just so you never even notice the gap. Let's talk about speed. Your body contains different types of muscle tissue, but the muscles controlling your eyes are by far the most active. They perform over 100,000 movements every single day. To put that same workload on your leg muscles, you would have to walk approximately 80 kilometers. Even while you sleep, your eyes continue to move during the rapid eye movement, or REM, phase. This constant activity is vital to ensure that the image doesn't blur or fade. If you were able to fix your gaze rigidly on a single point and eliminate all those tiny micro-movements, the image would simply vanish, and you would see nothing but a grey, featureless screen. Have you ever wondered how your eyes breathe? It sounds strange, doesn't it? But the cornea, that clear, dome-like front layer of your eye, is the only tissue in the entire human body that contains 0 blood vessels. Absolutely none. If the cornea had vessels, we would literally see the world through a constant, distracting grid of red lines. That's why the cornea gets its essential oxygen directly from the air around us. It literally inhales it. And that crucial dependency is exactly why sleeping in contact lenses is such a terrible idea. You are essentially suffocating your eyes, blocking their direct oxygen supply, and causing them to starve. Let's get back to the topic of colour. We all know about the three primary colours: red, green, and blue. The human eye is actually capable of distinguishing up to 10 million different shades. But there's an exception to that rule. There is a condition called tetrachromacy. This is a genetic mutation that occurs almost exclusively in women. They possess a fourth type of cone cell in the eye, which allows them to potentially perceive 100 million colours. For these individuals, a simple green meadow isn't just green. It's a vivid kaleidoscope of shades that the average person can't even begin to imagine. Let's talk about blinking. You do it so often, you probably don't even notice. On average, humans blink about 17 times a minute, 14,000 times a day, and over 5 million times a year. Why so often? Blinking works just like windshield wipers. It cleans the surface of the eye and keeps it lubricated. But there's another secret behind it. Scientists have discovered that during the blink, the brain momentarily enters a microsleep state, resetting our focus. This actually helps us stay concentrated and attentive. We literally switch off our vision for a fraction of a second just to reboot the system. Let's dive into genetics. If you have blue eyes, congratulations, you are a mutant. Initially, all humans had brown eyes. But, roughly 6 to 10,000 years ago, a genetic mutation occurred in a single person living near the Black Sea region. This mutation effectively switched off the production of brown pigment in the front layer of the iris. That means every blue-eyed person on the planet is a distant relative, a descendant of that one individual. That makes them arguably the world's largest family. Speaking of size, have you ever noticed how enormous children's eyes look? This happens because the eyeball is one of the few organs that retains almost its entire adult size right from birth. At birth, the eye's diameter is about 16 millimeters. For comparison, an adult eye measures roughly 24 millimeters. That difference is truly minimal compared to the drastic growth the rest of the body undergoes. This stable size is exactly why toddlers look so disproportionately cute and wide-eyed. It's a powerful evolutionary trick designed to trigger the nurturing instinct in adults, compelling us to care for the young. Let's talk about love and fear. Our pupils are great betrayers. They don't just dilate in the dark. When you look at someone you are attracted to, your pupils can expand by as much as 45%. It's an unconscious signal of interest or attraction. The same physiological reaction occurs when you are solving a difficult math problem or experiencing intense fear. Ancient cultures exploited this property. Women would use extracts from the belladonna plant or deadly nightshade to artificially dilate their pupils, making them appear more beautiful. They did this despite the fact that the practice permanently damaged their eyesight. Healing power. The eye possesses an incredible capacity for regeneration. A simple scratch on the cornea can heal in as little as 48 hours. It is, in fact, one of the fastest healing tissues in the entire body, provided, of course, that no infection is present. However, despite this amazing resilience, the eye remains extremely fragile. Unlike the skin, which thickens or forms a protective callus in response to friction, the eye cannot build up hardened layers for defense. Its primary protection relies entirely on tears, the eyelids, and your own rapid reaction time. How exactly do newborns see the world? Many people assume they immediately see the world clearly, but that's a myth. In reality, babies are born colourblind and perceive the world primarily in shades of black and white. Their vision is also incredibly blurry. They can only focus on objects that are very close, about 8 to 12 inches from their face. This distance perfectly matches the space between the baby and the mother's face during feeding. Full colour vision and depth perception only begin to develop several months later. Night vision. It takes time for your eyes to fully adjust to the dark. Initially, your cones, the cells responsible for colour vision, are active, but they become useless in low light. That's when your rods kick in. These cells are highly light sensitive, but they only see in shades of grey. Reaching full adaptation takes roughly 30 minutes. Here's a fascinating fact. Pirates didn't just wear eye patches because of injuries. When moving from the bright deck down into the ship's dark hold, they would simply switch the patch. The covered eye, already pre-adjusted to the darkness, allowed them to see instantly. The red eye effect in photos. Have you ever wondered why flash photos sometimes make you look like a vampire? The flash is so quick that your pupil simply doesn't have time to shrink down. The light enters the eye, bounces off the blood vessels at the back of your retina, and shoots straight back into the camera lens. This means the red colour you see in the photo is quite literally the colour of the blood vessels inside your eye. That's why modern cameras now use a pre-flash or double flash, giving the pupil just enough time to react and constrict before the main picture is taken. Heterochromia. It's a beautiful word used to describe having two different coloured eyes. It's extremely rare, affecting less than 1% of the global population. It can be either congenital, meaning present from birth, or acquired later, often due to an injury. David Bowie, for instance, appeared to have two different coloured eyes, but this was actually due to a permanently dilated pupil, the result of an injury he sustained in his youth. While the condition certainly adds an element of mystery, at its core, it's simply an uneven distribution of melanin. Put simply, one eye just got a higher concentration of pigment than the other. Not all tears are the same. Under a microscope, tears of joy, tears of grief, and even tears caused by chopping onions look vastly different. That's because they have distinct chemical compositions. Basal tears, for example, simply work to keep the eyes lubricated. Reflex tears, like those caused by dust or irritants, contain extra antibodies to help fight bacteria. But emotional tears are the most complex. They actually contain stress hormones and natural painkillers. So, crying is actually beneficial. It's how the body literally flushes out stress through the eyes. Peripheral vision. Our lateral vision is quite blurry, and it registers the world almost entirely in black and white, but it is incredibly sensitive to motion. This is a critical legacy left by our ancestors. Think about it. When a predator is stalking you, it doesn't matter what colour that tiger is. All that matters is noticing the movement quickly enough to react and flee. Today, this ability helps us drive safely and notice threats out of the corner of our eye, even if we're focused on reading a book. Visual aging is unavoidable. By the time we reach our 40s, nearly everyone needs reading glasses. This isn't due to weak muscles, but rather because the lens of the eye loses its elasticity. In our youth, the lens is soft and flexible, easily changing shape to help us focus. With age, however, it hardens up, much like old rubber, making it difficult to focus on objects up close. This condition is known as presbyopia. Your eyes are actually part of your brain. The retina develops from the very same tissue as the brain. In fact, it is the only part of the central nervous system that can be viewed externally without opening the skull. When a doctor examines your eyes with a light, they are literally looking directly at your brain. By observing the blood vessels in the eyes, doctors can diagnose conditions like diabetes, hypertension, and even early-stage brain tumours. And for our final fact on how the brain manages its resources, vision is the single most energy-intensive process in the human body. Roughly 40% of the brain's total resources are dedicated solely to processing visual information. We are profoundly visual beings. In fact, over 80% of our stored memories and knowledge are acquired exclusively through our eyes. This explains why, when you close your eyes, your brain activity instantly changes its rhythm, and the overall workload on your mind significantly decreases. And that's what our eyes are all about. They're not just the window to the soul, but an incredibly complex survival tool that has evolved over millions of years. We see the world upside down, we fill in our own reality, we have natural blind spots, and yet we never even notice. But doesn't that just make us even more incredible beings? If you enjoyed this video and picked up a new fact, make sure to hit that like button. Let me know in the comments, which fact blew your mind the most? Was it the fact that having blue eyes essentially makes you a mutant? Or that you're technically sleeping for tiny moments every time you blink? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss the next video. Until then, take care of your eyesight.